Welcome everyone to Christiana's Psychic Cafe. I'm so glad you're here. This is a live show. We're still having some tech problems, so we don't have a video feed for you, but that's okay because we got the psychic feed right here today in Christiana's Psychic Cafe. My guest is none other than Lynn Merritt, one of the best psychics in Connecticut, someone I know from my days in Connecticut, and I'm so happy to have back here with us. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Christiane. Happy New Year, and thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, gosh. Well, it is so great to have you here, and Happy New Year to you. Now, for the few folks who are listening who don't know who you are, let me tell you, folks, Lynn Merritt, she's got just an amazing resume. She's got a master's degree in social work from the University of Connecticut. She's licensed by the state of Connecticut Department of Health as a clinical social worker. In her clinical practice, she's specialized in the treatment of schizophrenia and major affective disorders. And she's also a specialist in emergency psychiatric evaluation and treatment planning. She now has a private psychotherapy practice that focuses on emotions and weight loss. Now, Lynn is also the co-owner of Mystical Horizons and Mystical Horizons 2. These are New Age stores located in Old Mystic and East Lyme, Connecticut. And Lynn is the featured tarot reader and astrologer at Mystical Horizons. So, Lynn, you've got all of this like really serious scientific training and licensure. You're a tarot reader, you're an astrologer, and you've also managed to be co-owner of what I really think of as an absolutely heritage New Age shop. At a time when stores are closing left and right, you know, Mystical Horizons is just, everyone knows it and everyone loves it. So
we're going into our 24th year, so it's been a while. I think I might be the oldest store now in Connecticut.
You might be one of the oldest stores in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, 24 years ago, a lot of them popped up, but a lot of them didn't make it. So I have so many questions to start out that basically all come around to, how did you do it? And you can start there anywhere you like. How did you come into tarot and astrology? How did you come to kind of put the psychology together with those things? How did you come to be involved in New Age retail? Tell us the story.
Sure. The first thing is that I went from kindergarten to graduate school, and then did the normal thing, got a job, worked, got my experience, got licensed, and that was all well and good. And that was just following a real traditional path. And then, you know, I started to expand and like to learn tarot and psychic kind of things and go to classes, read books. I had a great teacher back in the day. And then decided, well, I'd like to be more creative than what I can do here, and decided to open Mystical Horizons with my partner, my business partner, Maureen Pavelski, and we just wanted to do something different, offer classes, offer the kind of things that we liked, and it grew from there.
Wow, and grew, it really did. You went from one store to two stores. You have a wonderful reputation. I know that sometimes you host internationally known authors for book signings and classes. What interesting people have you had in the store recently?
Just recently we worked with, it wasn't in-store, but we worked in conjunction with the Gaudet Theater in New London. And we had Lisa Williams, the English psychic that now lives in America, and she was awesome.
Wow. Wow, did you get to meet her?
I have met her in the past, but that night it was just too busy because we hosted a pre-show and a post-show psychic fair at the Gaudet, so it was just really busy, and the Gaudet had a wonderful showing for the show and everything. So that was our last big event.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it was really good. It was fun.
Yeah. You know, I also recognize that this has been the busy retail season, and you're just coming off of that. Let me just ask, what would you say were some of the best-selling New Age products for the holiday season this year?
Well, sure. A lot of gemstones and crystals have been really hot, jewelry, and a lot of Zen and Buddhist meditation type materials were really hot this year.
Sure. So, since we are coming to the new year, of course, I'll be back on Penn this Thursday on Jordan Hoggard's Interstate Highways to welcome the new year. But since we are right right on the cusp of the new year. I thought it would be fun if we could do some readings. People always like to look at the upcoming year, or maybe people have specific questions. So anyone who would like a reading at any point over the course of the hour, just pick up the phone, give a call. Eric, what's the phone number?
615-692-1262.
Perfect. Just pick up the phone and give us a call, and we will give you a tag team reading. Now, Lynn, I remember many years ago, I want to say it was the Norwich Bulletin, but it was one of the papers in Connecticut called You and Me, and we both did New Year's predictions for the paper, and I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I think it was the Norwich Bulletin. It was many years ago.
Many years ago, yes. So my question is this: do you actually make a practice of issuing predictions for each new year? And if so, have you done it for 2014 yet?
You know, I normally don't too much. I don't know why, but I probably just because of the busyness and then getting back into things and such. So to be really honest, I don't, but it's always fun when the paper calls, or I find a lot of people want their New Year readings. They love coming in and getting a tarot reading for, like, what's their year going to be like, or things like that. So that happens a lot, is people just really wanting to see how things are going.
Right. Now we have a caller already. I want to welcome you, caller. Looks like you're calling in from Florida. How are you today?
Hey, Christiana, it's Jamie. You don't have to ask. You don't have to ask twice. You're all having a reading, so thank you so much for that.
Well, it is our great pleasure. So let's see, Lynn. How do we want to do this? We'll have first of all, we'll get Jamie to ask her question, and then I'll turn it over to you. I'll let you go first, see what you see, and then I'll jump in at the end. Is that okay?
That sounds good. And one of the things that I work with, I don't just look at the cards. I kind of do psychic tarot, so I tap into things. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of different schools of thought out there, how people, you know, read the tarot. And I like the first name and the astrological sign, too.
Okay, my name's Jamie, and I'm a Libra. That's my sun sign.
Okay, great. So Jamie's Libra. All right, let's look at you.
Jamie, like mouse.
Yep. Okay, perfect. It looks like, looking at the bigger picture for you for the year, I'm getting some awesome cards. And what I do on questions is a little inverted pyramid 10 card spread. And I'm seeing some really things like in the beginning of the year, it's like you're really upbeat, you're looking positive. You've got the first line of 4 is the Fool, the World, the Sun, and the meditation card. So it's like keeping yourself on point this year. It's being positive. It's really trying to look at the bigger picture, focusing on the positives and less on any negatives, and being really committed to that. And don't look at the past. You need to move forward. That's really good for you. I don't know if that makes any sense, because sometimes it's so funny, I don't know what I'm talking about, but a lot of times it makes sense to the person, and that makes me happy. So moving ahead, doing really good with that. If you have to use meditation, positive thinking, all that kind of stuff, and staying away from any downers from the past, you know.
That sounds like really wonderful advice and helpful right now. Thank you.
Oh, super good. Really glad.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lynn, I do know Jamie personally, and I don't know her that well, but I know her. And what I know of her, I think that was a spot-on reading, I've got to say. What I would add to it is this, Jamie. Sometimes you have a tendency to look at something in your life and to say, oh my gosh, this is really a problem. And what I want to say, I want to invite you to consider that sometimes you have a tendency to see things as a larger problem than what it really turns out to be. And so you might need to reframe your perspective. That's not to make light of things that really are difficult, but is to say that sometimes and it's not even about being pessimistic. I think it's about too much caution in a way.
Yep.
And just, recognize you have a lot of support. You have friends, you have a lot of spiritual support. You're okay. And I think sometimes you don't remember that.
And it's really funny. It's the last time I called in and got a reading. I got a one-card reading from Jordan. Hi, Jordan. And he said, with one card, exactly what you just said. I said, oh, my God, Jordan, you just changed my life. And now it's 3 months later. I'm like, oh, right.
Well, and, this is true. Stay on the line with us for a minute, Jamie. I know there's other people who want to call in, but give us this one moment. I want to direct a question to Lynn in this regard. Isn't it so often true for our clients, but also for us, that we hear the message resonates, we say, yeah, we internalize it, but then somehow it doesn't get put fully into practice? Do you have any advice for Jamie and the rest of us about how to make that happen more smoothly and more quickly?
Sure. Well, it's something to be conscious of, to, work on it and being okay to make the change, to do that, moving forward. I get a lot of moving forward with Jamie here. It keeps going on. And just, re-educating ourselves about it all the time, like when we're slipping into something else, just, oh my God, I can't think that way. I need to flip a switch,
Mm-hmm.
And it almost becomes like what's known in therapy as cognitive behavioral work. And so we can just do that all the time if we reminding ourselves, like for example, looking in the mirror, oh, my hair is awful. Hey, wait a minute, it's not that bad, but catching ourselves doing it.
Right, to change what we're telling ourselves and to be conscious of that.
Yeah, I'm calling it flipping the switch, consciously flipping the switch,
Yep.
Changing that thought pattern.
I like that. And I think for you, Jamie, one of the places where you need to do that is in the recognizing that good things are possible right here, right now in your life. And that's not to say that you don't have good things or that you don't have gratitude for the good things you have. But you also don't always believe that awesome things could just happen. And sometimes they really do. Just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost boils down to the cup half full, looking at it, versus the cup half empty.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. That really resonates. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. And Jordan, thank you too. I'm remembering.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Jamie, and that'll leave a line open for the next person who wants to call. That'll be 615-692-1262. And in the meantime, I'm speaking with Lynn Merritt, and I wanted to ask, Lynn, what tarot deck are you working with right this minute? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I was looking at working with the Gaudet, and then I was going to work with the Bohemian Cats, and then I went back to my Rider-Waite. I was looking at these different cards. I go, I'll just go with the Rider,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm working with my brand new Ellen Dugan Witch's Tarot, which
that's great.
Isn't that a great deck? You've had Ellen at your shop before, I think.
No, I've met her, but I've never had it. But I did read on the Llewellyn website that publishes the deck, and they had this whole blog entry that she wrote about, or it might have been Barbara Moore, I can't remember. But it's good to go back and archive that if you can, because in that tarot deck, Ellen even corresponded, say, the necklace stone of the queen or the king or something with the proper stone to go with the card.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, these little tiny details in that deck is awesome.
Absolutely fabulous. Okay, and we have on the line none other than Jordan Hoggard himself, host of Interstate Highways here on Penn on Thursday nights. How are you, Jordan?
Great. How about you guys?
Ah, fabulous.
Great.
So glad to have you here. Say hi to Lynn.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Good, Jordan.
Okay, what's your, make sure you say your name and your sun sign for Lynn and tell us your question if you have one.
Definitely. My name is Jordan, Jordan. My sun sign is Sagittarius with Capricorn moon and Capricorn rising. My question is, I have a book project, many of them in process, but this last week as I got into one, I realized, how did I not realize that this one is almost finished? And so I've started pushing it to tune the final details. And my question is, tell me a bit about a timing situation of, shall I finish it this month and publish it, or would February be a better month to publish it or to release it?
Okay, I'm going to look at now, and I'm going to look at February. Let me just see here. I'm getting that definitely you're working on it because, you know, the King of Pentacles shows right next to the Page of Wands. And that kind of combination is, you know, communicating, writing kind of thing for professional reasons. Hitting those goals, looking at the goals, looking at things. Now, the better cards that I get for getting it out there is February as opposed to right now, which I'm going to say January. So if it's not too rough on you, if you could put, you know, I see you being satisfied with the project and finishing it. But it looks to me like February would be better financially and business-wise. I get better cards for that time frame.
I completely concur with Lynn, what I see here, and I would add this, Jordan. I do like the February release date, and now I feel like you have the two-pronged job of doing whatever you have to do to line edit, put finishing touches on it, get beta readers for it, whatever. But also, I think it's good to pre-market. The big publishing houses do a lot of advanced marketing before something drops. And I think sometimes we forget to do that when we're doing it for ourselves. So one reason I like the February date is it gives you more advanced marketing time. And I think that's going to be important.
Thank you Thank you so much. Those both really resonate structurally, strategically, and personally, right with what my feelings have been, and it really solidifies my clarity. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jordan, and Happy New Year. And
you
that
too.
fits, did you have another question, or are you all good?
I'm all good. I'll hand it over to other people.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So we now have an open line at 615-692-1262 for a tag team reading with Lynn Merritt and me. And in the meanwhile, Lynn, my next question for you is actually about, and this just sounds so fabulous, you do spiritual retreats to places like Sedona, Bermuda, Mount Shasta. Tell us about that.
Sure. For the past 20 years, I've been going out, taking customers out to Sedona on vacation, really. And what we do is fully escorted by Maureen and I. And it's getting a little feedback here, so that's why it sounds weird. And so we go to different vortex sites. We have classes. We have meditations at these different sacred sites. And I put a little cultural in with Native American ruins and meeting Native Americans out there. And I've gone on psychic cruises to Bermuda. I've done that where we have classes and such. And then also the newest destination that I'm liking is Mount Shasta. I just came back from Mount Shasta a couple months ago.
Now tell us about Mount Shasta. I've heard of it, but I want to learn a little more about it. But you know what? We have another caller on the line, so we're going to go right there, and then we'll come back, and I'm going to want to hear about Mount Shasta. Hello, caller. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Christina?
I am very well. Tell us your name, what sign you're born under, and what your question is.
All right. My name is Nicoleta, and I'm a Scorpio.
And Nicoletta, could you mute your computer, please, too, ma'am?
Sure.
You're a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio, too.
Yeah. Yes, I know. And I'd like to get a little bit of an insight on how will next year look on my career path. Okay.
Good
Super.
question. Go for it, Lynn.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I was picking up is the past year or something like that. You've been a little bit frustrated with your career path. Do you understand that at all? Yes. Okay. So I am looking at coming out of the frustration and feeling held back or something, not of your own accord, but just, it's like, wow, I want to get going here. And then what I'm looking at is offers coming in. The road hasn't been easy on career path for you, but I see it starting to ease up. And I see you having a lot of strength. You're a Scorpio, so you can do that. And then what I'm seeing is with a lot of faith and a lot of just like really believing, like, I'm going to make this thing happen, you know, manifestation, going for it, Queen of Swords. Then I see your career path really opening up for you, and it's almost like going to come together because I get Temperance and I get Magician card. This is one of those things where I'm ahead of the card. Remember I said manifestation? And I said that before I saw my Magician card, which is work in the magic and manifestation for me, so that's kind of fun. The other thing is, in the last two cards in my little spread here is the work card, and then the victory card, which is Six of Wands. So I see you as the year progresses, just the career path getting better and better. I'm really happy to report that. Yeah, I'm really happy to report that to you. Yeah. Oh, so that's the good news. Thank God. Yeah. I've been waiting for this, so thank you. Yep, it's coming.
I would, again, totally agree. And when we talk about, okay, improvement is coming, the way it looks to me is improvement in the form of a completely new job. Is that something you're looking for?
Well, I'm open to anything, Christina, at this point. Like not really anything, but yes, I'm open to new possibilities and new chances. So let's put it this way: I'm very inclined to embrace something new.
Good. And so that's the way it shows up. So it may be, you may be in the position of like really being the new girl or whatever, which is never that much fun. But it does look like a new job. And it looks like a job that may come, I want to say, from networking. It may have to do with people that you already know or that already know you. So don't be afraid to talk to the people that you know. Don't be afraid to drop names. Use your references. You have a good reputation. People feel good about you, and don't be afraid to use that. The other thing that shows up around all of this is education. It may be a job that requires some specialized training, some training that you'll get as part of taking the job. It may even be a job that has you doing some teaching or instructing or training of other people in some way. So be open to all of that. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense because I have, lots of things going on in my mind, but I didn't know for sure what to choose. But listening to you really totally makes sense. So that's awesome.
Okay. Good. Do not be impatient. I think Lynn and I both see this happening over the course of 2014. It may take a few months to really get in there. It may not be until the spring that things are looking, that you see this direction, but do not give up. Find what you need. And what I see here is a job that will be a good job for you, but also a job of your heart. Something that uses your compassion and that makes you feel like this is what you want to be doing or even are supposed to be doing. So, go for it.
I love it. Thank you so much, guys. You really, really helped me. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Well, thank you so much. Lynn, I'm loving doing this way because, I've given you the hard part. We can switch if you want. But I just...
I'm okay with either, yeah.
Are you good? Okay. So I have yet to be looking at my cards, because of course I'm putting my cards out at the same time you are, but you're speaking first. I have yet to look at my cards and say, scratching my head, where's she getting that? That hasn't happened yet. I'm not just agreeing with what you see to be nice because you're on my show. It really is what I say and what you see.
Well, yeah, I've experienced that kind of thing before with a reader years ago, early 90s. I would go on the radio with an astrologer, and I would start with the tarot, that cold kind of tarot spread, and she would back it up with what the stars are saying, and we would be in such sync, and she wasn't being, like what you just said, I'm not being nice, it's like really working.
Right,
yeah.
Absolutely. And you and I have done some things together before. I remember being on community television with you in Connecticut at one point. We've had some opportunity to do stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have an open line right now, 615-692-1262. Call in for your reading. And in the meantime, Lynn, tell us about Mount Shasta. I've heard the name, but I don't really know anything about it.
Right. So the Mount Shasta thing came up, and I was able to go out there basically for free. A friend of mine had tickets and such and said, let's go. And I said, okay, I got a little bit of time before the retail season starts. So here we go out to Mount Shasta. And it's the energies there were even more potent than Sedona. It's just amazing. And there was a couple places that I loved. Of course, right on the mountain, it's a national park, and it's called Bunny Flat. And Mount Shasta is a volcano. It's not active. But lore is that the Lemurians have lived inside the Mount Shasta. And as I was at Bunny Flats, hiking on the mountain, I really felt that Lemurian energy, and it came through very strongly, and it was just intense. They also say that out at Panther Meadows, which was further into the national park, which the road was closed at the time that I was there, they closed it at a certain time because of snow and such, that has a lot of Saint Germain energy, and he's been seen out there with his panther and his kind of heavy-duty, like, arc, saint, high-up saint energy there, although I wasn't able to experience that. Then the mountain overlooks Lake Siskiyou, which I think when I was there was the most peaceful place that I have been. The energies were of such peace. So the town is just amazing. The mountain is amazing. The energies are just wild there. It's like a vortex spot site. And the water there was just so pure and drinkable and everything like that. So there's something going on there that it has amazing energy to offer.
Wow. So do you have any retreats planned that people can take advantage of?
Well, that's what I'm working on right now. I haven't done any of my planning yet for any Sedona or Mount Shasta retreats yet. I'm in the planning stages right now of it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
that's exciting. And of course, I guess people will be able to go to your website to find out more. Is that the best way?
That's the best spot. And they should also go to Facebook and like Mystical Horizons, and they can find all that up-to-date information right there because I do a lot on the Facebook.
Perfect, perfect. Now, are you teaching any classes coming up this year?
Yeah, I've got some classes starting. And, of course, I always start out traditionally with my Messages from Spirit class, and that would be starting on, let's see here, I think it's the second Friday. I always have classes at Mystical Horizons, 7:30 p.m., Old Mystic location, and they go for a couple of hours every Friday night. So you can check Facebook for that. And I'm coming up with a new schedule coming up here. And then, geez, I don't even know if I have oh yeah, here it is. January 10th, I'll be doing Messages from Spirit for the new year. And then I'll usually do crystal classes and pendulum classes and development, psychic development and tarot classes. So those will be all up too.
Nice, nice. Very cool. So, in terms of your private psychotherapy practice, where you work on emotions and weight loss, you know, one thing, and I'm sure you've noticed this, well, let me put it out there. Haven't you noticed that amongst people who work in our industry, a lot of us say we're mediums, but many of us are actually larges and extra larges?
Yeah, that's funny. It's hard to say, really. Some of the work that I do with that isn't so much metaphysical nor tarot, but just more about talking about feelings and things like that, and your normal course of things with, you know, body image, self-esteem issues, things like that is what we talk about in that kind of practice. So I have little compartmentalized worlds, it almost seems like sometimes in my career.
That was going to be my question, is how much does one leak into the other? I mean, you cannot tell me that your training in psychology, which is significant, you have a master's degree, for gosh sakes, you can't tell me that doesn't leak into your work with tarot and astrology, can you?
Oh, that part does. It's almost like if I'm working with the tarot, certainly that comes in really helpful. But in my old days of emergency room psychiatry and psychic, isn't that a Freudian slip? Psychiatric evaluation, I didn't do anything. I mean, it was pure clinical. And I think the most that I would do would look at the person's birth date for their sign, just for my own. But yeah, there's two different worlds. But definitely when I'm doing the tarot, that the training does come through at times.
Yeah, I would think it would have to. And yeah, of course you're going to look at the chart and see what sign they're born under. And in your work with the person, I mean, I certainly know, like, I would not ever say that I see you in the emergency room doing psychiatric triage and pulling tarot cards to see what meds people could be on. You know, I mean, I know you're not going to do that. Neither would I in your situation. But, you know, I would have to say that both with your studied knowledge and your psychic gifts, even though you're not obviously using those in a clinical setting, I'm sure they make you even better at what you do.
Yeah, I think that back in the day, in those kind of settings, yes, that was helpful. And with the tarot cards, the interesting thing is that no matter what setting a person is in, whether it's clinical or whether it's in a psychic tea room, and I'm joking a little bit, you know, in
Right.
someone's psychic office, tarot card office, people are still going to have the same problems, and they're going to talk about it. I found in a clinical setting they had their arms crossed, yet with the tarot cards they had arms wide open. And another thing is, I wasn't telling them what to do, like in a clinical setting or well, you know, doing an evaluation or something like that. But in a tarot card setting, the tarot card was saying it, so it's not my fault. Joking. And in a lot of ways, too.
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
In a lot of ways, too, if somebody doesn't like what I'm telling them, because I'm somebody that I just tell you the way it is, if they don't like it, I'll say, well, you shuffled the cards. So I like to put a lot of the energy and a lot of the things onto them because it's their stuff, which you also do in therapy, too, if you were in a private setting. So a lot of them overlap, and a lot of the same type of responses and ways that you deal with people are very similar, too.
I would absolutely think. We have another caller. Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Maggie. How are you?
I'm good, Maggie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling in. So the way we're working is we're going to ask you to say your first name and your sun sign, and then if you have a specific question to go ahead and ask it. Then Lynn will start off and tell you what she sees, and then I'll finish up and tell you what I see. So go for it.
Thank you. Hello, Lynn. My name's Maggie, and I'm an Aquarius. And my question is, I read tarot, but I'm also I work with Reiki and I work with animals, and I'm thinking about taking an animal communication class because that's I'm really getting more working with them more. And that's what I'm trying to see. It's around the January, February time frame. I'm pretty busy, but I'm thinking, I could squeeze this in. But I just wanted to see what you came up with, you and Christiana.
Yeah, I think that's a really great goal for you, and I think you're a natural at it. There's a problem, though, and let me tell you what that is. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I get this funny feeling that you're a natural at it. It's your goal. You're almost right there. Go ahead and take the course. But for some reason, you're very skeptical about yourself. Do you recognize that at all?
What did you say? Am I recognized?
Are you kind of skeptical of yourself or your talents to do that?
Not in the Reiki area and the energy healing.
No, I'm talking about the animal community.
Yeah, I'm was a little, I've read some and I've listened, so yeah, I'm a little bit, I can pick up, I can pick up with people, and empath, but with animals, I do more of the, moving energy, so I've not really communicated as much.
Oh, that's cool, because what I see here is I like the moving energy. You're going to move energy also with the animals, are you going to do that?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's a good approach to go with this because I get the Knight of Swords for that actually, and that's a guy on a white horse, and that's moving forward energy. And so, and the horse being the animal, so that's awesome. Right next to the Fool card, which means you should be on your path to this. Don't have reservation, I guess is what it says, skepticism or whatever. Don't have reservation. Don't be in conflict with yourself about it because that will just hold you back. But if you really go with it, I see a lot of happiness as another tool in your toolbox for the services that you offer. So here's the deal. Go for it.
Oh, thank you.
That's kind
of what my heart's been saying.
Absolutely. You got to go with that. Don't put that other stuff in. That will slow you down.
I absolutely concur. And I would just add this, I think it's always good to study. It's always good to take classes. It's always good to learn. But one of the things, and I'll be interested to see if Lynn agrees with me on this or not, but my take is when we teach any kind of a psychic class, a tarot class, a psychic development class, an animal communication class, whatever, all the teacher can do is say, this is what I do, this is what works for me, this is how you can do what I do, maybe it will work for you, and these are my theories on why that is. And I think it's good to learn from as many people as you can, but at the end of the day, all you're learning is how other people do stuff, so you can try it and see if it works for you. I agree with Lynn that you're a natural, and I would say even before taking the class, even after taking the class, just start reading for the animals that you know. You know, reading for animals is different than reading for people because you can't get them to confirm, yes, I'm feeling like that, woof, woof, or no, I'm not.
That's exactly my point. Yeah, you take it the animal to do it.
But, you know, and I mean, I'm not even a pet person. I have no animals in my house that I invited here. There are a few lizards running around, and they're allowed to stay, but they're not mine. They just live here. And yet, when someone asks a question about their animal, I can answer it. And I've had verification or validation from the animal's veterinarian. There's even a veterinarian that will call me from time to time because of this. But here's the thing. All I did, Maggie, and I'm saying this tarot reader to tarot reader, all I did and all I do is lay out the cards for the animal in response to the question or whatever's going on the same way I would for a human and read what I get. And it works every time. So I just wanted to plant that little seed with you that there are many ways to go here. You have the heart for it.
Oh,
So just let your heart do it. You know, learn from as many people as you can, but let the heart do it. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's where my heart's kind of leading me to take this course and use the tarot skills, and then because I do the Reiki and can pick up from the animal energy, this might just enhance that. And that's what I was kind of trying to think whether I should go for this or just kind of continue on my path. Because what I wanted to do this year as the main focus is do volunteer for charity work for some of the SPCAs and some of the organizations, so when they have events, I can offer my services, and that way I can kind of get back at what I do. That's awesome.
See those. It is awesome, and I don't see those things as mutually exclusive.
Okay.
I think you can do it all.
Oh, that's really helpful. I appreciate you taking my call.
Well, thank you so much for calling, and we'll look forward to talking with you again soon. Lynn, what do you think about that? When we teach psychic stuff, how much is there a canon, a text, what we all teach, grounding, centering, focusing, whatever, and how much is it each person trying to communicate how it works for them?
Well, in my tarot classes, I teach my style.
Right.
And at the same time, I say, look, this is my style that I've developed over years, and just by taking an eclectic approach and what really works for me, and throughout the whole classes, I'll say, hey, look, this is my style. You don't have to take it. You can take pieces of it and run with it. Develop your own style. Take your own eclectic approach to what you need to do, and fit it all in the way that it really works for you.
Right. And, okay, we've got a follow-up question. Interestingly, for both of us, did we pick up anything in particular regarding the class itself? And I want to be delicate about that because certainly, I honestly do believe there is value there. But, let me just reiterate what I said, that Maggie should not discount her own level of knowledge in dealing with all of this. What about you, Lynn? Any thoughts on that class itself?
On taking the class itself?
On the class itself, the teacher, whether it's a good fit, that particular class is a good fit for Maggie.
It looks like a pretty good fit to me. I get actually the 8 of Wands in the beginning here, which means everything kind of coming down in a row, that kind of thing. Although Maggie, right, she has the Empress energies, which is the nurturer, taking care of things, right next to the Magician for me. I think the class could tweak her great abilities.
Gotcha. Exactly. That's perfect. Okay, well, we have an open line, and we have only a few more minutes, so if you're trying to decide whether or not to call in, you better pick up the phone right now because you're going to be running out of time. The number is 615-692-1010. 1262. The line is open right now just for the next few minutes before we have to say goodnight. So let me put you on the spot here for a minute, Lynn.
Okay.
I will be making my official New Year's predictions coming up pretty soon. Obviously, I'm running out of time, so I better get to it.
Yeah, you always do your official ones. I remember that, right? Yeah.
I do, and it's a funny thing. We could talk for a long time about predictions and how that all is, and what it is to read for an entire planet, and it's kind of a silly thing, and I do it in the spirit of it's a fun thing to do at the holidays more than I do in a really serious way. But I haven't done mine yet, and you're not doing any this year, but I'm just going to put you on the spot and say, what do you see? Something, give me a celebrity, give me a planet, give me anything for 2014 Planet Earth.
All right, why don't you throw something out at me and I'll take a look at it. Celebrity, planet, whatever. How's that?
Miley Cyrus's career in 2014.
That is funny. Who? No, I'm kidding you. Wow, money. It's so funny. I get the 9 and 10 of pence, right? So, I mean, we all know that. You don't need me to tell you that, but I think that her shenanigans, as crazy weird as they are, make her money. And the industry is behind her because the money is being made. It's oddly creative, what she's doing, and I'm not saying that I like it, but I do wish that at least she would have maybe had some kind of blueberry lollipop or something so she had a blue tongue where you could see it better. But nonetheless, this is kind of funny what I'm picking up on the celebrity herself is that she has all this money, she has all this stuff going, but it almost looks like she's a miserable millionaire inside. Don't know why, I just get that. And that's the 9 of Swords is telling me that.
Sure, well, a miserable millionaire who never had a real childhood. Disney owned her from go.
Yeah.
And while it made her a lot of money, I've got to think that, that's...
I don't get her happy inside. I don't get her happy inside. And she might even end up in some kind of counseling thing or rehab even.
Okay. So, here's another one.
Yeah.
And let's keep it lighthearted to some extent. Let me ask you this. What do you see? Let's see. What do you see for the tarot world this year in terms of exciting new decks, in terms of new innovations? I was having a Facebook conversation with Jenna Matlin today about the world of tarot and where is it and where is it going, and it's hard to even put your finger on what that means, but tell us something about the tarot world in 2014.
Okay. I'm looking at more networking, more people getting together on a global level, like on some of those pages on Facebook and with your websites, your own personal websites and your Psychic Cafe and all this networking and some of the big tarot conferences that are out there is really cool. It's funny. I started out with the Hierophant, and on the other end of that line is the High Priestess. I've got the star in the middle. I also can see perhaps even police working with tarot people or psychic people a little more, and it coming out a little more than being closeted by the police kind of thing versus that. I'm also looking at perhaps even a lot more TV shows, and it might even showcase some tarot. So I'm looking at the networking, though, and the socialization around it just as phenomenal.
So you think it'll be more out in the public eye, being
in the
used
mainstream.
as plot point in the mainstream on TV shows, things of that nature. So that leads to another question. Going back to the conversation I was having with Jenna, she was really looking at sort of how tarot has evolved over the past 40 years and the fact that because of groundbreakers like Eden Gray, Mary Greer, and all who have come after, Vicki Noble, of course, that because of these people, tarot has become less occult and more psychological, that tarot is more in the mainstream than it used to be, and that is the focus, more psychological, less occult. And my answer to that is, well, yes, in that 80 years ago, that whole psychological piece didn't really exist the way it does now, so of course there's more of that. But does that mean that occult tarot is fading away, is dying? And I would have to say no. I think it's more like there are two churches of tarot now, one more psychological, one more occult. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think there's some validity to that, the two thoughts of the tarot, where people don't really come to me for the occult part. They want some answers or some help or some guidelines or some insight for their everyday life, So there's that part. And then there's a whole other piece with the whole historical part behind tarot that people are really into lately.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different avenues that the tarot is happening and going with. And when we go back that 40 years and all these great teachers that nobody really knew about because you couldn't even find the books or do things, I have to give a lot of credit, and this is going to sound crazy, but I have to give a lot of credit to Dionne Warwick and the Psychic Friends Network. And I'm going to tell you why, and I know that sounds nuts.
Hey, I used to work for her. Back in the 90s, I was a psychic friend, so yeah, go for it.
There you go. That demystified a lot of it because psychic and tarot and those kind of things came into millions of American living rooms by the commercials.
Right.
And that demystified.
Yeah, it made it seem like your neighbor might actually be doing it, so you could too.
Yeah, as opposed to that creepy, weird, occulty, weird store around the corner or something back in the day. Right. But now it's, and people I find, as a little sociological thing lately, they kind of want tarot more than just the plain old psychic readings. Not to put down the mediums and the psychic people, but that a lot of people want the cards, which I saw starting, quite a few years back being a big thing.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Now, here's a question for us in the chat room. I'll put it out there. You can tell me what you think. I'll tell you what I think. Let's see. Do you think that the negative feelings about Sylvia Browne, that this has influenced the public and investigative attitudes of tarot and psychics? The fact that Sylvia Browne was so publicly wrong in a couple of cases, how do you think that affects you and me?
You're always going to have your naysayers, number one. You just live with them,
Right.
At the same time, though, there were many people who loved Sylvia and bought her books, went to see her, really, thought she was great. There were probably many, many times that she was right, too. So there were probably more times that she was right than those big things. It's almost like how many planes land daily and people get off the plane and they go to the destination, and how many times do you see a plane crash on TV?
Right.
That kind of thing. Again, she was another one that brought the psychic world into the living rooms through Montel, so she was a game changer in bringing this more to the mainstream as well.
She was, and I loved her and I didn't love her. I did go see her live, and I'm glad I got a chance to before she crossed over. She was so not my style. She was so coarse. She was her own kind of coarse style. Yeah, she was. But I don't think that she has. I think she's helped us more than she's hurt us. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are coming to the end of our time together, and Lynn Merritt, I want to thank you so much. Now, obviously, we have a worldwide audience here. You are also available for readings by phone, is that true?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do phone readings every day. They can just go through Mystical Horizons, and usually our old Mystic location. They always know where I am. And that is the phone number there if anyone ever wants to call for a phone reading with me personally is 860-572-9191. Or you can also go to Facebook, Mystical Horizons, like it, find out more about the store and everything we do there.
Perfect. And you know what? If you happen to be in the Connecticut area, passing through Connecticut, it is worth it. This is a store the way a store should be. Outside of Salem or any of the other big meccas, I don't think you'll find one as good. And, you know, you really want to take time, even if it means taking a detour. It's worth it. Lynn Merritt, I want to thank you so much. Next week we'll be back, and hopefully we'll be back with my face. Thanks for looking at my picture for the past hour, but hopefully we'll get our tech issues solved. We'll be back next week with Maggie Lukowski and some great New Year's stuff. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to wish you all a Happy New Year. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Party like it's 1999, but make sure you make it home safe. Have a great week. We'll see you next week right here on Christiana.